wish good morning to all in Harris-Hall and welcome those joining us online. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Lane County Board of County Commissioners to order. It's Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. Last meeting, I had mentioned the significance of our flag being folded 13 times for memorials and for sunset taps, and I'd like to remind us of reasons 4, 5, and 6 are the nation's citizens' trust in God as reason number 4. The 5th acknowledges the country, and the 6th symbolizes where our collective hearts lie as we pledge allegiance to the values of our country that we've established. Top of the morning to my colleagues whom I serve. Thank you for joining us here. And to you, Mr. Mokryski, our County Administrator. Good morning, sir. Any adjustments to our agenda?
No.
I do have one. Commissioner Trieger and I had met and noted that item consent, on the consent item F1, Order 25070807, in the matter of approving a contract with Axion Enterprises for the purchase of tasers in the amount of $423,063.36 and delegating the authority of the county administrator to execute the agreement. Needs a few more questions, and we're proposing to put that on the 22nd consent calendar. Any emergency business, sir?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We have something that the Board of County Commissioners, I think, love. I know I do, and I know the rest of my colleagues do, is recognition of special people within the county. And today we get to recognize 2 of those. The first to be in our, I guess we say ex-retired, what do we say? Retired Sheriff Cliff Harold, who served us faithfully for over 30 years in the county. And so, Mr. Mokryski, I'd like to take it away and give it to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I'll just make a few comments and then turn it over to Commissioners. A lot has been said about Cliff Harold over the last several weeks, and we just wanted to have former Sheriff Harold here today to be recognized for, as you mentioned, Chair, 30 years of service to Lane County government, additional years on top of that in public service, but it's almost a lifetime of service to Lane County. We in Lane County who had the opportunity to work with Sheriff Harold, those certainly in the Sheriff's office, and those across all of our departments in Lane County have really valued and appreciated former Sheriff Harold's dedication to public service. And particularly, we talk about these 3 core behaviors in Lane County, the things that when we're at our best, we're exhibiting a passion to serve, a drive to connect with other people, and a focus on solutions. And Cliff Harold was always that person, even before we identified those core behaviors as the things that we really value here in Lane County. And so we wanted to have a former sheriff here to say thank you for your service. We did, Chair, and I'll hand this to you, and if the board would like to take a picture afterwards with former Sheriff Harold, we could do that. And this is a really beautiful plaque that we have put together for only very special people. After they leave, 30 years, right? Deserves this sort of thing. And it includes, and we know in law enforcement that challenge coins are a really significant tradition within the law enforcement field. And so we have these 4 coins that we hold really dear across Lane County. The Sheriff's Office has their own coins that they share, and in Lane County we share this county coin. And then we have these 3 core behavior coins, which I mentioned: the passion to serve, drive to connect, and focus on solutions. And it says, Clifton G. Harold, Sheriff, 30 years of service. So I think, Chair, we'd like to invite former Sheriff Harold up here and just ask the board to share any comments that you would like.
Great, and I'd also like to extend the invitation to his lovely wife, Becky, too, if she wants to join us, too. I figured you'd respond.
So maybe, Chair, if you'd like, you all can say what you'd like to say, and then the former sheriff gets to respond to that.
Wonderful
if he
suggestion.
agrees, and Becky as well.
Yeah, wonderful suggestion. Go ahead. Who wants to start off? Yes, Commissioner Farr.
Cliff. I just called you Cliff. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to the person who really made you operate, and that is you, Becky. In times of emergency, who stepped up? Who was the one who made the phone calls? Who found the missing people? Who found the missing animals? Well, it was you. And because Cliff was so good on the job, the only reason he could be so attentive and so responsive is because you were the same way. You backed him every minute of the way. I witnessed that. Couldn't have done it without you. I could talk for hours and hours about you, Becky, the wonderful things that you have done. And Cliff, you're okay too. But that aside, thank you, Becky, for everything that the pair of you did for Lane County for all of these years.
Mr. Buck, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for serving Lane County. I know that you're still doing that in your new role, but within the Lane County government, you were just an outstanding sheriff, and I appreciated working with you since I began. Basically, you became sheriff right when I started as well, and it's always been a wonderful relationship. You were very open and always available, and always took the best interests of the community at heart, and that was your first really goal, is to make sure that not only people were safe, but you had a broader picture of what was going on, not only like strategically within your department, but what was happening and a pulse on the community. And I really appreciated that so much. I'm sad we won't be crossing paths as much as we used to in your new role. But I know that you left the department in fantastic shape. New Sheriff Wilkerson is going to do a fantastic job. And I thank you for making sure that that succession is successful after you go on to your next profession. Thank you very much for serving Lane County.
Commissioner Trigger, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, Becky, we didn't get to know one another and work together, but I've known a lot of hardworking, smart women, and I can tell you are one, and so thank you for everything you've done. And former Sheriff Harold, thank you for being so open and willing. We had many great conversations over coffee, and I just always appreciated your willingness to have the hard conversations and to dig into whatever topic we needed to talk about, and to how accessible you were to community members who maybe historically and generally haven't felt that it was as safe and comfortable to talk to a member of law enforcement, let alone the sort of the top of the chain and the sheriff. So thank you for being such an accessible, good listener. And I also want to appreciate your calm. I never felt rushed when we had our conversations. When I was at community meetings with you, really enjoyed working with you on the levy renewal campaign, for example. Never felt like you were in a rush or wished people would get on with their questions. You just have a remarkable ability to put people at ease and ensure that you're there to answer their questions on their timeline, and that is a really important quality for someone in leadership. So thank you so much for that, for choosing Lane County, and I just want to echo Commissioner Buck's comments. Thank you for bringing great people on board and mentoring and supporting them so that they are ready to step into leadership. I have great confidence in the office with Sheriff Wilkerson at the helm, and that's in large measure to the leadership you provided. Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Well, Cliff, it feels like we've known each other for a long time. And I don't know if it's because one of our first real times we got to hang out, we were at the Ada Grange. Because what we didn't know is when they start their meetings at the Ada Grange, everybody around the table stands up, holds hands, says blessings over the meal you're about to have, and sing hymns together. Not only is he an amazing sheriff, but he's got a great voice too. I mean, he kind of keeps that on the down low. But and we got to drive back, and it was just, I mean, it was like an hour and a half long drive with an old friend. I mean, just talking about all the different things we can do here at the county and the direction that the sheriff's department is going. And Commissioner Buck talked about the succession plan. That's so evident in now Sheriff Wilkerson's interview. He is so passionate about this job, and that passion comes from, I've told you before, it's the speed of the boss. And you have left us in great hands, which tells us what kind of a leader you are. And the family dynamic that the sheriff's office has is just absolutely incredible. You go to an event, and all the kids run up to Becky because she's got snacks in her purse, and they sit on her lap. And those are just great qualities. So not only were you an amazing sheriff, I wish we got a couple more years longer to work with each other, but even as I'm sitting here, I see you smile, your dimples are a little bit bigger, so I can tell you're happy with what you're doing, Cliff. You will be missed.
Great, thank you. I couldn't agree more with Vice Chair's comments and all my colleagues. Becky, both you and Cliff have just given a huge portion of your life to Lane County. Time is something that we give that we never get back because we give it sacrificially, and it's not compensated by any means. So I want to thank you for that gift of 30 years that you've given us, both of you. And like I said, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan because the three of us, you, Sheriff Wilkerson, and myself, we're all former gas station employees. And I think that draws a certain amount of quality to someone. And first of all, you learn how to serve. Second of all, you learn how to be careful, right? And you learn customer service. But you also learn that there's other things in life that you might want to aspire to, because maybe you don't want to be a gas jockey your entire life. So I appreciate the fact that doing that job certainly made you want to aspire to do greater things and do the great things that you did for our county. The following, your legacy of leadership is unquestionable. You both have done that, and I want to thank you for that. But I think the thing that touches my heart mostly that I've seen since I've been here is you leave, both of you, even the snacks that Vice Chair mentioned to Becky, you both leave behind a legacy of wellness. And I think that's what strikes me as the most thing that I could thank you for, is you not only lead that in leadership, you lead that with your spirit, with your morale, and with the way that you you bring people into the family unit that you extend outwardly. So I want to thank you for that mark of wellness that you leave, especially for establishing the Hawk. I think that was one of the pinnacle items of your career, in my opinion. I also appreciate the fact that you're moving to a higher calling. A lot of times when people do really great jobs at jobs that are necessary and there's a lot of accolades, it's really hard to move off of that identity. But I want to thank you for following the lead of the Spirit. For you, you and I both share a faith that we are part of our lives. It's the all life, it's not a part. And so I want to thank you for moving on to that higher calling. And Becky, I want to just say this again to you. I'd mentioned this when Cliff retired, is that great men don't become great without great women. And so I want to appreciate you for sticking with him and loving him the way you have, supporting him as a mother and a wife, and being there for him when he came home and had some tough things to share, and for your tears and for your laughter, and just for the way that you folks have embraced the community as your own, and you continue to do so. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for the nice words, and I especially appreciate the acknowledgement of the incredible partner that I have, so super thankful for that. I just feel so blessed that I got to have the 30-year career. I was a 16-year-old working at a gas station, dreaming of getting to be a deputy sheriff, and I got to do everything and more than I dreamed. So super thankful for that gift, and also thankful that I had a new opportunity seek me out in just the right timing, and that I get to continue to serve, and I'm learning new things, and it's fun to learn new things. And so, yeah, I just feel super blessed. You've heard me say this before, but I get one more chance to say it. I am unbelievably proud of the people of the Lane County Sheriff's Office. They are just fantastic folks who are serving our community because they're internally driven to serve. I'm super proud of this leadership team that's sitting back here. It's really a great position to be in now, to walk in the room and see them and just be really proud of them and know the good work that they're doing. And I'm excited about my new role of getting to show up and watch and be a cheerleader and an encourager to whatever extent I can while they continue that good work. So, so thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Ms. Becky, if you have any other words you feel to share?
Well, I think I'm his biggest fan. I might be a bigger fan than you.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I've been saying the same thing about the dimple. I think it's deeper since he retired. So yeah, thank you for all of this. It's been really great. It's been a great ride.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'd like to, Mr. Mulcahy, you want to wrap it up and then we'll have a photo?
I just was going to ask if
Yeah.
you'd like to take a quick picture.
Yes, we would.
Appreciate the indulgence of the folks that are here in the meeting. But if the commissioners would
Yeah,
like to come
for
down
rather than
and do
recess,
that,
let's do a photo. But I want to applaud you too as well. Thank you very much.
We going down?
Nice and shiny. All right, everybody look here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more.
Well, Mr. Mulkowski, if the morning couldn't get any better, we have another employee recognition on our
We love
hands.
starting our meetings off this way when we get to recognize people who've done great work. So that was a great way to start the board meeting. And now we have, I'll invite Eve Gray up here and Brittany Pollock here. Is Kate Budd?
Yeah, she's in the back.
Come on up here. Kate Budd is here as well. So this is well, I'll let folks here talk a little bit more about the incident itself that happened, but I'll share with all of you, for those of you that don't know, Brittany Pollock is a community service worker with our Human Services Division Coordinated Entry Program, and she saved a life this spring. She was driving to a provider's office and stopped on the side of the road after seeing a crowd gathered around someone. So not really knowing what was happening maybe in that moment. Looked like the person was in distress. The person ended up that the person was bluish, and there were indications of an overdose. So Brittany grabbed her Narcan packs that she had with her, leapt out of the car, and proceeded to administer 5 doses of Narcan to this individual. She had 2 packs of Narcan on the scene, or with her, and then others on the scene also had Narcan. So this is a side note, you know, really good that folks carry Narcan with them, because in this case it took 5 doses. So eventually the person recovered, began walking, and was engaged by EMTs. But if Brittany would have just kept driving, right, and said, well, that's not really, you know, I'm busy, I have to get to my, and it's not for me, other people are helping out, I'm sure it'll be fine, which is oftentimes a human tendency to go, well, other people are taking care of that. But for whatever reason, Brittany was compelled to stop. I think we would argue because she has a passion to serve, and that's why we're recognizing Brittany here today. Again, she could have kept driving, going about her business, but selflessly stopped, thought about someone else rather than what she had to do in that moment, and assisted this individual in the middle of a crisis, and it ended up saving a life. So this is a pretty profound experience, and I think example of what employees in our organization do that aren't necessarily in the course of their job, right? She was headed to an appointment with client, and something else was more urgent in that moment, and she took the time to stop. And so I mentioned earlier the 3 core behaviors that we feel really strongly about. This is our employees across the organization are exhibiting a passion to serve, a drive to connect, a focus on solutions every day. And we love to have these opportunities when people like Brittany, we can bring people like Brittany forward to say, see, this is what our people are doing, and it's really incredible work, going above and beyond the call of duty. So I'm just really proud that to work in an organization with someone like you, and we have a certificate here for you and a coin. I don't always bring these coins, but I thought today we'll actually show you what the coin looks like. And, you know, on one side it has the Lane County logo. It says to improve lives, which is our purpose in Lane County since 1851, which is when the county was founded. On the other side, we have 3 different coins that represent the 3 different core behaviors. And this one is a passion to serve. And it has the map of Lane County and then a big heart right in the middle, demonstrating what Brittany demonstrated this spring, a passion to serve. So I'll turn it over. I'd like to ask Eve and Kate if they'd like to add anything before we turn it over to commissioners.
Sure, thank you so much. And Brittany, what you did is an incredible example of how we can all be members within our community who save each other's lives. And this, this example that you displayed in taking the Narcan that you had on you and administering it is probably the reason that this person is still walking and talking today. And of course, because I am who I am, I will go to the bigger policy pieces as well and think about how was it that Brittany ended up with 2 doses of Narcan on her. And this has to do, so we'll be talking to you a lot over the coming months about how policy influences health. And this is a beautiful example of that. So Commissioner Trieger is on the state opioid board for the settlement funds. And that board has allocated some additional funding for harm reduction programs, including access to Narcan in communities. We then recognized the need in Health and Human Services to have access to Narcan in more areas than just our health centers. And Kate, along with her staff, took on the project of getting a policy in place, getting training in place for staff, assuring that our public health officer was really comfortable with all the protocols. And then we were able to access the harm reduction clearinghouse at the state in order to get doses of Narcan, which ended up with a staff person, which ended up saving a life. So this is, again, just a really clear link between how we create policy and the impact that that can have on the ground level. So I like to draw those connections whenever possible as well. This was an individual act of heroism made possible through good policy.
I just want to reiterate that Brittany is indeed a hero. And I want to really recognize that because I know it's not a title that she readily accepts. But for someone to stop, interrupt their day, recognize that there was a crisis, seek out how she might be able to help, and then leap into action is incredible. And so, Brittany, thank you so much for making that series of decisions that an average person likely wouldn't make. And so really, really fortunate that you're a member of the HSD team and that you were willing to help this person, even if it might have been uncomfortable, even if it may have not been a typical choice. So thank you for that.
Great, thank you very much. The hero shirt works well for you, Brittany. I know it's hard to accept, but I would think the commissioners would want to say some words. Who wants to start off? Commissioner Buck, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Brittany. It's actually great to hear all of you kind of explain not only the situation that you experienced at hand. I have some kind of feeling that your instinct just kicked in. And that's what led down the road of saving a life. But it's also really fascinating to see the connection of policy to the point where you were able to have the Narcan on you and actually administer it properly. I don't know that I know how to do that or would have any idea what was needed in that situation because I don't have the same training as you. And that's why it's so important that we have people in our community that have that kind of training and know the signs and the symptoms before you know the next step in order to save this person and call the EMT, get them on site and help. And I want to support that policy in any way, shape, or form because this was an act of heroism. And I don't know where that person is now, but they're alive and walking on this planet, which is a fantastic thing. I'm so proud of you and proud of the work that you do for Lane County. And I hope that you are an example for many of our other staff. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Commissioner Trieger, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Director Gray, for bringing policy into the conversation always and forever, because you're right. Brittany, I want to thank you not only on behalf of that person, but we don't know the countless other people who are grateful that that person is still alive and has a chance to continue on with whatever those relationships are. I don't know if you were able to find anything out about them or have any follow-up, but for all we know, right, that person has children, that person has family, that person has people that they work with that rely on them. So it's not just that act with that one person that you helped save, but it's that network of connection. And also modeling for others how Narcan really works and how carrying it and how just how much possibility and how many chances people deserve. And you gave that person another chance that they deserved. And without you, that probably wouldn't have happened. That is an incredibly important thing to have done. And I'm grateful that time and place that put you in that place, in that moment, right? And it's just such a reminder of how much suffering there is all around us, and we don't, just that moment, that happenstance of going by at that moment, how many times that isn't happening or it's happening somewhere else and someone else either is choosing to step in or not. And as it was described, people were gathered around. There were lots of people there, but you were the person that was there that had on hand what was needed and that took that action, that was willing to take that step. So thank you for the coincidence of it all, but also the really strong intention and values and commitment that you displayed to helping that person. Thank you.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you. You know, Brittany, many of us wonder what we're going to do when the occasion arises for us to step forward and potentially save a life, be a hero, step in the way, whatever it may be. You can look back and say, this is what I did. You know, most people, the vast preponderance of us do not get to do that, do not have an opportunity. You took your opportunity, you saved a life. You know, the ripples out from your action will go on forever. So remarkably well done. You know, you swim in a sea of outstanding individuals. You've got some sitting right next to you, you've got some sitting in the back of the room. Everybody you work with is outstanding. Everybody you work with is a hero. You rose for your entire department, all of Lane County above that, and you exemplified what we all wish we could be, what we all hope we will be. Thank you for being that.
Vice Chair.
Well, thanks, Brittany. I think you have seen how appreciative everybody here is for what you did. It's kind of Commissioner Trieger's point. It's one thing to be standing around or stop and see what's going on, but it's another thing to jump in and take action. And you did, and you saved a life. So thank you from all of us. Appreciate it.
Hard to hear all those accolades, isn't it? I know, right? Yeah, and and you're doing a good job. I think the passion to serve that Mr. Mokhiski brought out is only superseded by your passion to save. And having had a somewhat similar situation, there's that momentary half second that you have to decide. And that is what separates the people that want to serve and save to the people that just move along and leave that to others. So I want to thank you for that spirit in you that made that decision in such a routine and in the moment kind of way. And you know, the place that I find inspiration, there's a quote that says, there's no greater love for humanity than one who gives a life for a friend. And so I just want to tell you that when you consider like what you do, all people are friends that are in need. You will naturally do for someone in need something they can't naturally repay. And so I think that is the best quality that I see about this whole situation. So, and I know that's going to continue, and I know that you're the type of person that will empower that in other people's lives too. And that's what I think is most important for today. So thank you for allowing us to lay accolades upon you and to take with them what you're going to do in the future with them and to teach others. So I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome to. Okay. I'm more of a crisis worker than I am a public speaker, but I did write this, and I'm going to give it a go.
Good.
I am here today not just to talk about Narcan. I am here today because someone is alive today because of it. Narcan or naloxone is a life-saving medication that reverses opiate overdoses. It works within minutes. It is easy to use, cannot cause harm, and has no abuse potential. It doesn't encourage drug use. It prevents death. I have personally used Narcan to save someone's life, not only once, but multiple times. The most recent situation, I found this community member unresponsive, barely breathing, gray. I administered Narcan, but this time it was a little different. It took multiple doses before this person started breathing again. That moment changed everything for me. Without access to Narcan, this person would have not survived. I want to say how thankful I am here being recognized and appreciate immensely. But I want to take a moment and to recognize the other man that stood right next to me helping me the entire time, another unhoused person. He did not run away when he knew 911 was being called. He did not give up trying to wake up this person. He stood strong, brave, and selfless. So in this moment and in this space, I would like him to be acknowledged as well. Opiate overdoses are happening in every part of our community, rural, urban, young, old. Narcan gives people a second chance, and with more access, more education, less stigma, we can save lives. Thank you for listening, thank you for caring, and thank you so much for giving me a couple minutes to explain how important this is to me.
Well done, well done. That was a great moment. We just call this a day, Mr. Mokrasky, and go on with the, yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Unfortunately, you do have some business.
Yeah, we do. Public comments are our next item on our docket. Public can speak here in person at Harris Hall or online. The time is limited to 3 minutes. We'll ask that you please watch the clock that'll be on the screen in front of you and stop at the 3-minute mark so we can be fair to each one who wants to share. We also can, so you can also submit public comments via our website in writing at least 24 hours ahead of our meeting to be included in the weekly packet. We respect your First Amendment right as a tool to address the government with grievances and opinions, but we also admonish you to do so in a civil manner and to be respectful in expressing yourself. When you come to the podium, please state your name for the record and your time will begin. I'll call the first person up with the person on deck. First up is Jared Hunter, followed by Haley Finnegan, please.
Hello, my name is Jared Hunter. I'm the facilities manager at the ESS Navigation Center. We recognize that there's been some recent feedback regarding our program. Much of the feedback appears to originate from individuals who may not be fully familiar with our organization, our operations, or our role within the community. We acknowledge that online discourse can sometimes include misinformation or misunderstandings about our residents, our services, and our mission. From the outset, we have prioritized transparency and open communication. We have hosted facility tours, invited neighbors to participate in community advisory committee meetings, developed a comprehensive website to share updates and gather feedback, and distributed printed informational materials, as well as regularly attended community meetings and established a good neighbor agreement in collaboration with county and city officials. Despite our attempts to dialogue and receive feedback, some members of the local community and local government have not yet taken advantage of these opportunities to connect with us. As we were unable to present our perspective prior to today's decision, we wish to take this opportunity to share an overview of the work we're doing. It's important to clarify that our program is not responsible for addressing homelessness as a broader social issue, nor for individuals not enrolled in our program. Our focus remains on supporting residents actively participating in our services. Those who are not part of our program are subject to the same laws and expectations as all community members. We understand that issues related to homelessness can be complex and sensitive, and we are committed to being a part of the solution by providing support. We will also share some data that demonstrates the positive impact of our efforts. Our program operates with a strong emphasis on maintaining a safe, clean, and peaceful environment for both residents and neighbors. To that end, we implement several daily practices to minimize our footprint and foster trust. To ensure a safe and welcoming environment, we have several daily practices in place. For instance, we observe quiet hours from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., during which outside speakers and music are not permitted. We also enforce a no loitering policy, meaning residents are not allowed to gather outside or invite non-residents onto the premises. Additionally, we have a strict policy prohibiting illegal substances and paraphernalia on site. Beyond these policies, we actively engage with the community through neighborhood cleanup efforts. Staff and residents regularly participate.
Sorry, Jared, your time is up. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Haley Finnegan, followed by Kaylee Krausen, it looks like.
Hello, my name is Haley Finnegan, and I'm the Deputy Project Director for the Navigation Center. I've been with this incredible team since we opened our doors in 2022. Today, you're going to hear a lot about our data, our successful outcomes, procedures, and the systems we have in place. But before we get too deep into the numbers, I want to bring us back to what this is really about, the people we're serving. The work we do at the Navigation Center is vital, not just to our residents, but to the community as a whole. If our contract is not renewed and we're forced to close, that won't be just the end of a program. That would mean 75 people immediately losing shelter, stability, and access to critical services. These are individuals who rely on us for meals, behavioral health, hygiene supplies, case management, and medical attention. Many are living with chronic health conditions, mental illness, substance use disorders, and trauma. For many, we're the only consistent support system they have. It's not realistic to assume other shelters or partners can absorb that kind of need. Our local systems are already over capacity and stretched thin. If we close, the fallout will ripple through the entire network of Lane County services, impacting not just our residents, but every organization trying to meet the same rising demand. And to be clear, those 75 people will not disappear. They'll be back on the sidewalks, in the parks, outside of your homes and businesses. While I know these external effects are the priority of many, my priority is the survival of this vulnerable population. And to consider our staff, we have 25 individuals, case managers, behavioral health professionals, program coordinators, many of whom support families, children, and loved ones. Those folks will be left without jobs. The rising poverty levels and the elimination of government-funded programs have more Americans closer to homelessness than most would like to admit. My staff, who work so hard to fight the effects and symptoms of homelessness, will find themselves one step closer to experiencing it themselves. These are people who've dedicated their careers to fighting homelessness, who show up every day not because it's easy, but because the work here matters. We can't keep talking about wanting solutions while dismantling the very systems that are working. This year alone, we've helped over 40 individuals transition into permanent stable housing. That's 40 lives changed, 40 stories of resilience, and 40 individuals no longer living on the street. If you don't want to focus on the individual people, then let's focus on the outcomes. We're good at our job, and the results have reflected that. We're not just a building, a contract, or an out-of-state name. We are the people we serve, and we're asking for a chance to keep showing up for them, for our staff, and for this community. The issues of homelessness and the epidemic we're facing around the nation may seem like a burden you don't want to carry, but we do. Let us carry it. Please let us continue to be a part of the solution and help us help you. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Kelly Crossan, followed by Gary Wildish.
Hey everyone, my name is Keely Crossan, and I'm the project director of some of our shelters here in Lane County. And I just want to add on to what my coworkers have just said, that 40% is in people who have received services and have gotten further in life and have found stability. But more importantly to me, those are people who are no longer using the law enforcement service and the emergency medical service as a one-stop shop to get everything. If we push 75 individuals back onto the street, that is going to burden an already overburdened system. And right now, that is not a really good thing to do, considering some of the circumstances that we are facing. So I just want to close it out really quickly. I want to speak directly to the concern that individuals have been seeing, where they think we are inviting the problem into our community because they are seeing a rise in homelessness around some of the services that we offer. Again, we are not an open center for individuals to get housing just immediately off the street. So visibility does not mean causation. We want to be a part of the problem-solving conversation and less about the individuals who are bringing these people into the community. So I greatly appreciate your time that you've taken to listen to us speak today, and urge you to consider more of what it would impact on our community if we did close our doors this coming summer. So I appreciate it. And again, I want to kind of reinstate that we serve the community, not just our residents. And we desperately do want to serve this commissioner board as well. I can absolutely empathize with the fatigue of the continuing conversations around why is this happening, do something about it, fix this for us. And I want to be a part of that conversation, and I want to take some of those off your plate, because if it's one thing I understand, it's how to de-escalate an angry individual. It's kind of my forte. So I would like to support you in some of those conversations and continue towards the shared goal, because I do believe that our community and us have the same shared goals. We want the same things. They look a little different sometimes in conversations, but ultimately we want the same thing and want to help everybody support that goal. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Gary Wilders, followed by David Eigel.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Gary Wildish. I've lived in the same house in Santa Clara for 35 years plus. I live approximately half a mile away from the NAV Center. I'm a member of the Community Advisory Committee of the NAV Center, have been for 2.5 years. What a tremendous education. I've learned a lot. And I know all the folks, I've read a bunch of the information that's been on the Facebook. And I would really encourage many of those folks to maybe come to our meetings and learn some of the things that I've learned, because it's very enlightening. I think the NAV Center is doing a great job. It really is. Equitable Social Solutions Corporation is doing a great job. The NAV Center is a great thing. Staff has been doing a good job. I really appreciate staff. They're very responsive to concerns that we bring up, and they respond to crises when they occur. And believe me, they do happen to occur. It would be helpful, I think, for the overall community to have a better level of understanding of what the NAV Center does. So I would invite them to come to our meetings. The meetings occur on the third Wednesday. Check the website, because they're not always at the same time. 1 week or 1 month they're on at 11 o'clock, and the other 2 months they're at 2:30. I would encourage the county commissioners to continue with the NAV Center and to continue working with a good organization, Equitable. They've done a fine job. Thank you.
Thank you. David Eigel, followed by our online queue.
David Eigel. I appreciate the request of Commissioner Lovell not to make personal attacks, but I need to make an exception today. I asked Commissioners Buck and Traeger to apologize because of the lies they told about me. They haven't. My crime is to expose their misconduct in public office, their involvement in using their office in the promotion of false and defamatory ethnic histories. According to these two, I'm a violent white supremacist and an anti-Semite. I'm quite the opposite. My view is that in Eugene and across the nation, there are religious and non-religious people who identify as Jewish, and that collectively they are above average in terms of their contribution to their communities in the fields of education, law, medicine, business, scholarship, philanthropy, and social work. I disproportionately include such people as my personal friends and those that I respect and admire. However, there are always a few bad apples among any group of people. I view Lori Trieger and Michael Schill as examples of such bad apples. Using an enormous speaker system, Ms. Trieger blared out to a largely black audience at a public event that she was Jewish and that she was with them, implicitly against the white Protestants who historically were the overwhelmingly dominant group in Lane County. She loudly and very publicly interjected her ethnicity into a public matter. When I pointed out what she had done, she and her close associate, Ms. Buck, tried to evade responsibility by using a cheap smear against me. Even a bachelor placed a thank you notice in the local paper. He wanted to thank those who had come to his home to care for him during his recent illness. In 1912, he told the local press that there was no place he'd rather live than Eugene, Oregon. Eugene was not a sundown town. Many families have been hurt by lies that have been told about their ancestors. I speak on their behalf. They don't have the thick skin that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jessica, I believe we have one online, if not another?
That is correct, Chair. For those joining us online, if you'd like to give public comment, please raise your virtual hand. And thank you, Andrew Frost. I do see your hand raised. Would you like to be on camera for your comments?
It doesn't bother me. No, it's all right.
Okay. We can hear you, and you can go ahead and begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I know you guys all just think I'm angry, but I've spent 5 years. I looked out my window. I spent 9 months trying to stop an illegal remodel. I could see a house that was being done properly. It never did get done properly. But I reported it for the 9 months. City of Springfield came back. Charlie Kent said, oh, I spoke to the builder. He says he lives there. He's just doing some repairs on his place. That was a lie. Absolute lie. They bought it at a sheriff's auction for $86,000, sell it for $210,000 to someone who I believe is a straw purchase agent, who's now trying to sell it for $350,000. Now, that's a lot of an increase for a house that still doesn't meet code, that still wasn't forced by law to meet code. When you have contractors who have licenses, now I have to go through a contractor when I want to install some ironwork. If I want to do a handrail for someone, I have to go through a contractor to install it because I don't have the license for that. I'm an ornamental blacksmith and fabricator. I'm not licensed to go drill into people's buildings and damage their buildings. Honest builders pay for permits, and then you get honest people buying the house. But when you have illegal remodels without any permits, and the person buying it is notified by the neighbor that it was remodeled without permits, then you end up with only someone who knows that there was a problem in the first place who's still willing to buy that. Now they're trying to sell it again, and that person won't know about that. And I doubt it will be declared, that, oh, the house was built without permits. And you all know that by now, I phoned in and told you that this person in depositions dismissed my warnings because they said, oh, he's just a crazy mental guy. He was dressed all scruffy. Even though my warnings were 100% accurate, it was remodeled without permits. It was not on its own plot, as in the building had, something was up. And that person had contacted a member of the county staff, who I'm not going to name here, but in your finance department, and they said, oh, go ahead and buy the place. Now, that was wrong of them, possibly illegal, but it also enables someone to deprive the county of finance in permits. It's all wrong.
Mr. Frost, your time is up.
Thank you.
Jessica, is there anyone else online? Or does that conclude us?
That concludes us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes our public comment for this morning. Thank you for each one who had came to give public comment. We value it, and we've taken into consideration what you have said as something that's very important to all of us. So again, thank you very much. As we move on to our agenda item, we come to agenda item number 6, our consent calendar. All items listed here are routine by the Board of County Commissioners and are enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered separately. And the details to each one of those items can be found in the blue links attached to the item descriptions online. I am looking for a motion with the inclusion of the adjustment of the item F1, the Sheriff's Board Order. Do I have a motion?
Chair, I move to approve the consent calendar for July 8th, 2025 as amended with 25070807 being moved to the July 22nd consent calendar.
Great. Do I have a second? Oh, no. Yeah, second.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Commissioner Buck. It's been moved by Vice Chair and seconded by Commissioner Buck to approve the consent calendar with the noted adjustment. All of those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Votes passes 5-0. Moving right along, Ms. Eve Gray is back to us on the Health and Human Services item in the matter of approving a contract with the St. Vincent de Paul Society and authority to the county administrator. And I would look to Commissioner Buck at this point.
Thank you. I will declare a conflict of interest as this involves St. Vincent de Paul, and I'm related to the Executive Director Emeritus, who's still employed by that institution. And so I will step out and recuse myself. I'll be back when it is complete.
Thank you very much.
And I can add some context just while Commissioner Buck is exiting the room. So this is a $2.5 million contract that we RFP'd for medical respite. And I think something that's important about medical respite, it's a real missing housing opportunity within our community. So people who live on the streets, as I think you all are aware, suffer from many more health conditions. They become more severe at a younger age than people who are housed. When those individuals' conditions deteriorate and they need to be hospitalized, anyone who has been hospitalized in the recent past knows that you are not well when you are discharged from the hospital. It's just that they don't think you're going to die imminently without someone monitoring you. So it's this period of convalescence that occurs that really, if someone is discharged to the street, they are very likely to decompensate and come back right into the hospital. So this is what medical respite fulfills in our community. I hope that someday we will pay for this within our medical system because it is really a service that is health related. For now, OHCS is Oregon Housing and Community Services. Sorry, Chair, for the acronym, is picking up this funding to provide a critical resource in our community. So just bringing that forward, but St. Vincent de Paul was the applicant that scored the highest on the request for proposal, and that is the contract that we bring forward today.
Great, thank you again, Ms. Eve Gray, for that background information. That's really important. The public needs to know that when you get discharged, you are not well, and you still need some convalescent. So I'm looking for a motion on this item, or any questions? Yes, Commissioner Farr.
A couple of questions prior to that. Director Gray, you mentioned RFP for the project, and St. Vincent de Paul was again the successful applicant. And I just wanted to point out that these don't go directly to any one provider, that we do put out RFPs. There is a somewhat competitive, I guess that's the right term for it, bidding process, and the ones who score the highest get the bid. Quite often that is St. Vincent de Paul, and if you look around town, you see their thumbprints, their footprints all over many of the services that we provide. Medical respite is important, and it's something that we've been talking about for a long time and finally beginning to do a little bit more about. There are some people that hope that the Navigation Center, subject of a later conversation and earlier discussion, would include medical respite, which that's not what the mission of the Navigation Center was. But we're moving forward with it. And it's the time to call out Chris McAllister, who from the day that I met him, the first meeting of the Poverty and Homelessness Board all those years ago was talking about medical respite, and here we are, Eve. It's a great moment that we're able to move in that direction, barely scratching the surface. But it really is wonderful that St. Vincent de Paul, once again, is the successful applicant to bring their expertise, their vast, broad knowledge and depth of experience to bear on this particular problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, statements? If not, I'm looking for a motion, Vice Chair.
Chair, I've got a motion. I move to approve Order 25070808 in the matter of approving contract actions with St. Vincent de Paul Society and delegating authority to the county administrator, their designee, or their subdelegate to sign approved actions.
Great, do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair and seconded by Commissioner Trieger, in the motion approving the contract actions with St. Vincent de Paul and then delegating authority to the county administrator per board order 25070808. Is there any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0 with Commissioner Buck being recused. Thank you very much, Eve, again, for giving us such great information about this. I'll just give Commissioner Buck a few seconds to reseat. Mr. Mokryski, looks like we have a county administration item concerning our budget. Would you like to introduce this item, sir, or would you rather I do?
That's fine, Chair. We will have Christine Moody. Sorry.
We will swap out people. We have more people.
Okay, we're going to swap out people. So, but Christine is going to lead this. This is our discussion on the adoption of Lane County's capital improvement plan. When did we begin developing?
This is
the eighth one. Okay, so whatever 8 years ago was. We did not have a capital improvement plan for Lane County prior to this, and we do a lot of capital projects. And so the idea with the capital improvement plan is similar to a budget. It's a plan for the future for how the investments that we know that we need to make in various capital improvements across the organization. In some cases, there are dollars attached. At least in the first year, those are budgeted, but the out years, there oftentimes are not dollars attached to that, unless there's funds available within the department. But we call those out, again, recognizing that these are the needs for future improvements. So it's a planning document, and a really important one at that. So I'll turn it over to Christine, and we're going to have a number of folks here that will present on different elements of the plan.
Thank you, Chair. Please, Commissioners. So I will just give a quick overview. Some of this is in the document itself, which is part of your agenda item, and we will print that document and also have it available online so the public can see that now and in the future. So just some summary, and then we have some projects that we'd like to highlight for you. So I think that's where we want to spend most of our time, so I'll just go quickly through some of the summary. So as mentioned, this is the 8th year that we've done the 5-year plan. I will mention Public Works did have a roads and bridges CIP before, but they have folded that into the county plan so that we have all of our different categories. So this year, you're going to see a document that has 150 projects listed in it. 51 of those are what we refer to as standard projects. Those have something that is planned in the first 5 years of the plan, and it's at least finished a planning process, and it has funding identified. So those are the factors to have it be a standard project. Just showing you the breakout there. I have some other graphs that will kind of show you the different percentages by category. The total in the plan is $94.2 million, with 66.9 of that occurring in that first year of the CIP. So about 70, just over 70% of it. Our goals around this, as mentioned by the county administrator, this is a plan for us to maintain our assets and to make sure that we have the assets and buildings, roads, bridges, parks, everything that we need. So it also involves new, not just maintaining, of course, when we're going to build new things. The goal is to provide you as policymakers and the community with the ability to analyze the planned projects and see what's occurring over the next 5 years and how we're planning those, and prioritizing those as we bring them to you for the final decision making. The submission process has not changed from the plans that you've seen, and you saw a draft of this plan back in December. So we still have the 3 types of projects: standard, pre-planning. That's where you're going to see those things that are needs, or they just still have something they need to identify funding, or they haven't quite finished their planning process. So wanting to highlight things that are coming down the pipeline. We also highlight community investments. Those are a few places where either sometimes they're roads, sometimes they're buildings, some type of capital project in the community that the county contributes funding towards, but we don't own. And so that's why we highlight those a little bit differently. We still have kept the monetary threshold of 50,000, so they have to be at least minimum of 50,000 project costs to appear in the CIP. The categories remain the same as well. Facilities, fleet, if there's anything with the fleet system, parks, which include our campgrounds, jetties, covered bridges, roads and bridges. Sometimes you'll see one for a technology system again, sometimes phones or our servers or radios. And then waste management is where you see things related to the landfill, the transfer station, and the resource recovery facility. So I already detailed the number of projects. Here's just another graphic for you to show you the bulk of the projects still remain in the road and bridge category. That has not changed over the time of the CIP that we've been doing. Solid waste does have the next highest. That's because of the Resource Recovery Center, the Clean Lane facility that is appearing in the CIP, followed by facilities and parks. And then showing you over the 5 years. I mentioned that the bulk of the projects are in that first year. The planning process has just been completed and they're ready to go with the year that has started just this last week. And then planning out over the 5 years, and we continue to fill in those as the time goes forward. Funding sources, a large variety of funding sources, depending on what type of category. So we have a county capital improvement plan, obviously using the road fund, which includes different revenue sources within it, including gas tax. The general fund is sometimes used, user fees, state and federal grants, other funds revenue. I would include there like the local option levy for parks. Would appear there as other funds. And occasionally we also take out debt and make bond payments on various projects. The one thing I'll highlight too is that this CIP, the board order that you will sign today, will give delegated authority to the county administrator to sign contracts specific to some road and bridge projects. Any other projects still come to the Board of Commissioners for final approval on contracts as they move forward. So it's very specific on that board order.
Ms. Moody, would it be appropriate to interject a question here? Sure. Commissioner Trieger, please.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Are there projects in the CIP for parks that are not covered by the levy? I might have to look to them. Because I know our parks need more work and more help than what the voters have invested. But
Bjorn Carlson, Parks Division. The answer would be yes. There is a portion from such as FEMA from the Holiday Farm Fire. So there are funds from Fund 216 that contribute to some of the projects, but far and away the majority of the funds come from Fund 295, the Parks Levy.
Great, thank you. 216 being our regular operating parks fund, and he's using numbers that the public doesn't always see, but 295, we designate our levy funds in a specific fund that sits by itself. So that's how we track them separately. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to go through the project highlights then, starting with Sasha, and let everyone maybe introduce themselves as we go.
Thank you, Chair Lovell and Commissioners. My name is Sasha Vartanian, and I'm the manager of the Engineering and Construction Services Division. So I'll dive in. We're currently in the middle of one of our busiest construction seasons in recent history, and construction projects obviously don't fit neatly into individual fiscal years. So I'm highlighting 2 projects we're currently in the middle of construction with, and you saw these projects spoken to last year. This is the Laura Street project and Gillum project, and I want to highlight these because at the end of these, both projects lead to jurisdictional transfers with the City of Springfield and Eugene respectively. We've been working hard with our city partners to identify opportunities for jurisdictional transfers, and this is made possible through funding from the Metropolitan Planning Organization, federal funding that passes through them, and we work with our partners to identify these opportunities, and another opportunity is coming up this fall, so we'll be working with them to identify other road segments within Eugene Springfield urban growth boundaries that are possible jurisdictional transfers. Slide, please. This next project is a safety countermeasure to reduce roadway departures. This is a project brought to us through funding through ODOT, federal funding that passes. ODOT administers All Roads Transportation Safety Grant, and this project will help us towards our zero death policy on our Lane County roads. It is implementing, that's okay, guardrails and signage to help reduce roadway departures. And this will bid this fall and go to construction this early next year. And then lastly, a project we're really excited about. We just this last winter received a notice that we were awarded a Safe Routes to School grant. This is state funding through ODOT, and we applied. We had identified a need in Marcola, and this is adjacent to the Marcola schools. They need sidewalks and a marked lighted crossing to help them take their classrooms over to another parcel of property where they have a school to garden opportunity and other opportunities that classes from the middle, high school, and I believe elementary all participate in. So this includes sidewalks and ADA upgrades, primarily along Wendling Road, but also portions of Marcola. And this, we are just going to go into design this fiscal year. So the funding will pay for our design work as well as construction of the project. Thank you for your time, and I just want to say you'll notice a common theme. All of these projects have external funding, and it really helps us leverage our limited road fund revenue to provide transportation projects across Lane County.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Steve Rafuse. I'm superintendent for parks for Lane County, and I just want to highlight two projects here, and I also just want to pick up on a comment earlier. As you mentioned earlier, most of the funding is, we mentioned, coming from the levy, but we hope to use those funds to leverage additional funds, state grants. One particular project was, we did a ribbon cutting 2 weeks ago at HBRA, Howard Buford Recreation Area, where our partners, the Friends of Buford Park, had got a recreational trails program grant from the state, and we were able to use levy funding to add value to that and essentially support and provide match for that project. So we hope to do more of that. Two projects I want to highlight today are the Armitage Dog Park improvements. These are two projects that are going to be coming online here pretty soon. We're just about to go out to bid for this project, and the second project that I'll highlight is a new picnic shelter at Eagle Rock Park, which has already gone out to bid, and we're currently working with the contractor on a construction schedule, so that should be coming online pretty soon. For the Armitage Dog Park project here, we're adding 2 picnic shelters. Currently, all of the traffic coming into the park routes through the parking lot on the right. You have large RVs, and if anyone's been to a dog park, you open up the back, the dog jumps out. Not everybody puts their dog on a leash, so all of the traffic, including boats that are going down to the river, campers, RVs, day use area, is coming through the parking lot. So we're going to improve safety by rerouting traffic, continuing along the main road. We're going to add a pull out and a fee station there, so all of the traffic currently doesn't have to go through the dog park parking lot to access that fee station. So that will improve safety. We'll repave the parking lot, add ADA upgrades and striping, and some ADA access upgrades into the dog park as well. And again, this project is just about to go out to bid. We're hoping to have construction wrapped up by about the end of the year, January 2026. And then the next project. This is a project that has already gone out to the competitive bid process. We have a contractor on board, and we're hoping to start construction in the next month. So this is Eagle Rock Park, and this is a combination of both levy funds and some FEMA dollars following the Holiday Farm fire. So what we're doing is we're adding ADA parking spaces, as well as ADA pathways and a new picnic shelter with a just excellent view of Eagle Rock. Because the current access into the park is a shared driveway, the main, with a private resident, the main sort of user group we anticipate using this is going to be folks coming down from the river. So really unique asset. The Mackenzie River is one of the most special things in Lane County. You have a lot of guides, a lot of tour groups that will come, and this is a common lunch spot. So this is going to be a great new amenity that's just really going to improve things. So I'll also mention here, just before I step away, the 2 projects. Parks will be coming back on August 12th to give you an update of the whole levy and to talk about all the projects we're working on. So we'll be happy to come back and provide more information then.
Great, good work. Mr. Ward. Yes, oh, sorry, question from Commissioner Farr. Go ahead, please.
Well, it's my my moment on parks. My family may not be the greatest user of Lane County parks, but we've got to be right up at the top. And we use the parks pretty regularly. This is a picture last night at Richardson which is one of our beautiful parks on Fern Ridge, which, as we all know, is in North Eugene, by the way. Beautiful, but I want to talk about the great parks that we do have, but the question is regarding the order of funding, the Eagle Rock Park, for instance, which isn't used by a lot of people. Richardson is used by a lot of people. How do we, what's the vetting process, choosing which projects get to the top of the list?
Sure, I think there's multiple factors. I think complexity is, so I think with making upgrades to Richardson, we have infrastructure that was built in 1960 and throughout the 60s. And so we're actually rebuilding an entire water system out there. So that's really quite complex. I think in terms of Eagle Rock, there were FEMA dollars that were tied to that. So that was already sort of a front burner priority that we needed to get those dollars spent within the timeline that FEMA was requiring.
And like an attorney, I knew the answers. That being said, Richardson, a lot of people say, well, why aren't the toilets working? Well, because we're going through a massive upgrade. Same with Orchard, I think, although, we have...
Those are still in service.
It's still in service. Some of them have been closed due to vandalism, but that's because of the remote nature of some of the facilities there. But we do a superb job of recognizing where families spend a lot of time. And really around Fern Ridge, since it's so close to the metropolitan area, a lot of families spend a lot of time out there. If you'd been there Sunday, oh my gosh, you'd think it was a small city, the way people use it. So I just wanted to take this moment to say thank you. Look you directly in the eyes and say the people who work with you in the parks are remarkable. From the top to the bottom, seasonal, year-round, the hosts, we just do a superb job on Lane County Parks, and I want to applaud you over and over again.
Thank you, and I'll just take the applause and actually give it to the whole team because, really with the matter of having the levy, we had 4 full-time maintenance staff prior to the levy. For a county as large as we are, we have 66 parks. And so 4 full-time maintenance and a handful of seasonals is just, it was difficult. And so having the levy, being able to hire more staff, and we're actually catching up on the deferred maintenance, and I think our parks are looking great.
Good. And there are a lot of stories to be told. Why are some of the areas silted over now? Used to be a big lagoon with a play structure out at Orchard Point that's now silted over. Well, it's a wetland. If you go out there this time of the year, it is just completely filled with wildlife. It's just a wonderful place to be. So, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Buck.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate talking about Richardson. I grew up there. When I grew up in Veneta, that was the place where everybody went. And I am excited to see the updates there. I was also excited to come to the trailhead ribbon cutting with you, Steve, and a couple of your staff. I'm not sure I would have known that trail was there because I usually come to the front side of Pisgah. And although I was with my daughter, she wasn't feeling well that day, we didn't hike it. We went back on Sunday and hiked it and went up Trail 6 to the top and down. And if you don't go out there regularly, sometimes you can forget what a gem, Howard Buford Park is and all of our parks. So I think it's exciting to hear about the updates. I know that folks in my district are anticipating what all the upgrades are going to look like, especially at Baker Bay. So I look forward to the update next month that will be going into depth on each of the, where each is in the stage of the levy. Because I think we need to ensure that we show to the public that we are actually utilizing the levy dollars and they physically see it. Sometimes infrastructure projects are hard to explain to the public because a lot of times they're underground and people don't see the difference. And so it's up to us to really communicate that to the public. And I think when they start seeing restrooms come online that maybe weren't in their best shape before, I have to say, of all infrastructure projects, I hear the most back about that because they want to use those restrooms and they see that. And that's a type of infrastructure that's above ground that they can actually visualize and say, okay, that's where my levy dollars go. So thank you for the invite to the ribbon cutting, and I hope to be at many more.
We just bought new big scissors, so get ready, all of you.
They were pretty big.
Anyone else? It's so interesting that Commissioner Butt brings up the whole Orchard Point thing as high school, and we'll probably not similar age, but similar enough to where that Wesson oil was king and sunscreen wasn't invented yet. That's what I remember most about Orchard Point. But yeah, anyway, that was our generation. So anything else for us and the public at large? Mr. Ward, I noticed you came to the table, sir.
Yes. So good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to highlight some of these key projects. You know, it seems like we do a lot of planning, and when we're able to highlight some of these projects that we have currently in process, that's encouraging, I think, for all of us. So one of the projects that's been high on the list here in the CIP is the courthouse building security upgrades. I want to acknowledge the funding that Oregon Department of Justice provided for this project, totaling $660,000. They committed that for this project. You know, we've had, I think in the last couple of years, we've had an increase in incidents in the courthouse from security concerns. And so this project is going to go a long way to providing improved security system for the entire courthouse. It'll include 40 new security cameras and around 90 new duress buttons to provide folks a mechanism to contact, you know, like the Sheriff's Department for help if needed. This project is slated to be substantially completed at the end of September. And per our agreement with the state, we will need to be completed with the entire project, final completion by the end of November. So we bid this out, and we're currently in procurement, and again, plan on being completed with this in September. Next slide, please. So this is another project, speaking of planning, this particular upgrade for the central plant has been a long time coming. As I think we've spoken before, the majority of equipment in the courthouse and much of the equipment in the public service building is beyond end of life. A lot of the equipment in the courthouse was installed at the construction of the building. So, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s eras. For almost all the equipment that we have right now, we're just replacing equipment that is failing. And so this particular project addresses the design only for the central plant. And while the majority of the rust you see on the piping is from, you know, condensation and surface scale, we are experiencing problems with piping for cooling, particularly on the south end of the public service building right now. So we feel like there's a lot of, the situation is fairly tenuous with an unknown time frame with some of the failure, but this at least gets us a solid design so that we can put this out for bid, hopefully in early of 26, and start looking at funding options. But we have money available in the capital improvement plan now to do the design. This is going to be a big leap forward. It'll also help decouple the courthouse from the public service building systems to allow future flexibility and enhance our operation. And then this has been an important project in the works for the last couple of years. As again, I think as most know, the Sheriff's Office has been functioning in the ground level of some other area in the lower level of the courthouse. And the areas that they are trying to provide service to the public are not really conducive to public access as much as we would like. You know, most of those areas are in a hallway instead of in a sort of a dedicated space for those services. This project, we're considering relocation to the lower level of the public service building currently, and we're in early design for this. We have a fantastic design team who's considering all aspects of this project and making sure that the footprint of the proposed space will really meet their needs and not just be sort of a direct swap from one space to the other. So that, again, the design should be done here by, initial design by late August. So any questions?
Commissioner Trigger.
Not a question, but just, well, one question. Can the canine come visit us sometime? I always like seeing dogs on slides. I just want to appreciate the upgrade to the security on the court side as this board's liaison to the Courthouse Security Advisory board. It's so important, and I know we all talk about prioritizing public safety, and that is one of the hidden components of our public safety system is once the sheriff's department has done their job and the DA's done their job, it's the courts. And we need to make sure that our courthouse is a safe and secure environment for judges and jurors and all of the many folks of the workforce on that side. So just really important to highlight that component of our public safety system and how these funds will help keep that system strong and sound and keep us being a safe workplace and the courts being a safe workplace, which is our obligation to provide that for them. Thank you.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair. Just one thing to really highlight and bring out what you said, that you're not interested in it just being a swapping places, but to be, for the Sheriff's Department to have a place that's really going to meet their needs. I think it's important that we outline that, underline that, and continue to focus on that, because just trading places is just trading places. And what I've heard and what I've seen is that the design team is going to have something that probably isn't the ultimate, but it's certainly many steps better than we're experiencing today with the customer service from the Sheriff's Department. So I just wanted to highlight all the wonderful things you said. That's the one that I really focused on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, well, being the commissioner for the Facilities Planning Committee, I just want to echo everything that Mr. Ward said here. There's a certain amount of work that needs to be done and a certain amount of money we have. And you guys are doing a great job of prioritizing these things on projects like this for the long term of the county and us being in this building. So thanks for all the hard work. I know it's not easy.
Yeah, thank you. And I think what's noted for the public, I mean, this all sounds like business as usual, but there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle of what our entire asset as citizens of the county own together as taxpaying dollar citizens that we need to maintain. And some of that stuff we've kicked down the road a little ways. And as an old car guy looking at those nuts and bolts on that piece of pipe, I'm just like, well, there's not enough WD-40 in the county to get that thing fixed. So I'm glad we're doing the important things and getting the important things done, because the asset that we share as taxpayers is our roads, bridges, buildings, courthouses, sheriff's offices, those kinds of things. So it's good for the citizens to know that we have good people that are putting our assets ahead of where they should be and keeping the value in that pocket. So thank you, Mr. Ward. Ms. Moody, anything else to add?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just to wrap us up on a few things, and the commissioners have made comments on this. I just wanted to highlight that all of these categories have different committees, sometimes citizens involved in those committees or internal, like the Facilities Committee, that are reviewing the projects. A lot of work goes into developing, prioritizing, scoring, determining what money is available in order to bring these projects to you. So we ask some of those questions as the projects come forward. And then the maintenance of assets. So we, in the document, talk about the categories of projects and some additional information that could be useful for the public to know as well. And then I do want to thank budget staff. You know, the budget staff is short-staffed right now. We are down 2 positions, although I am happy to announce that we're filling the budget analyst, Michelle Stark, will be returning to the budget office August 4th, so we're very excited about that. But in the meantime, we had to create this CIP document, and that really fell to Jennifer and Jason to do it. They hadn't done that piece before. It's a big lift to bring in 150 project forms, make them all look similar, make sure questions were answered. We have everything we need to make it a professional document. So big thank you to them. And then just we continue to look for ways to future refinements of the plan. Are there other things the board wants to see? A big one for us is how do we report back to you on final once capital projects are done. So we'll be looking at whether to weave that into the plan. How did we complete things? Where did they come in based on this plan that you're seeing, reporting on actuals. We also make sure to call out the connections in the plan, the strategic plan. So we updated that a little bit based on the plan that was just approved by the board. So there's a section on that, and then the equity strategic plan and any other financial management planning processes so that we weave it all together for you and the public. That's it.
Questions or feedback? Commissioner Trigger? No?
I feel a dashboard coming on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well put. All right, Commissioner, go ahead, please.
Just briefly, I appreciate you asking, what do we want to do when projects are complete? Because we want to celebrate these wins. They're many years in the making often, and utilizing either levy or other taxpayer dollars. And we want to be able to share with the public what we're doing with their dollars and how it's improving not only the efficiency here if it's an internal building, but lives if it's public access improvements. So, personally, I'd love to be able to hear a report back when a project is complete, or if there's if it's appropriate, some kind of celebration like the levees, parks and stuff like that. But not just parks. I mean, if we eventually see a renovation of the sheriff's office downstairs in the public service building, like that's a big win. Those are things that I would love to hear back on and see how we can communicate those to the public.
Agreed, yeah. All right, sounds good. I'm going to pose a question to Mr. Mokryski and Council Bovet. I'm a little confused. We have an order here, but no motion. So do we need to make a recommendation, or do we need to go ahead with the board order of 25070809 as it's presented? A motion?
Yeah, a motion with the order.
Okay.
Yeah, and the
Sounds
title.
good. Vice Chair, I'm looking for a motion then.
Chair, I move to approve Order 25070809 in the matter of adopting the Lane County at fiscal year 25-26 to fiscal year 29-30 Lane County Capital Improvement Plan and delegating authority to the county administrator to execute contracts for road and bridge projects with terms less than 10 years.
Beautiful. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Buck, thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair and seconded by Commissioner Buck to approve Board Order 25070809 in the matter of adopting the Lane County fiscal year 25-26, 29-30 Lane County Capital Improvement Plan. As presented, is there any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, let's call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you for the wonderful information, and Godspeed to all the other projects you've got going. Good work. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mokryski. We have an item B on our county administration. You're up for announcements, sir, if you've got any.
I will buy you some time because I know you have some executive sessions and a lengthy afternoon, so I don't have any announcements unless you have questions for me.
Okay, sounds good. Before we recess, I would like to read us into 2 executive sessions that we're going to have between now and lunchtime. The Board of County Commissioners will meet in 2 exec sessions. The first session will take place immediately following the recess of this meeting and is to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. The session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602D, which allows the Board of Commissioners to meet in executive session for the purpose listed. The second executive session will take place immediately following the conclusion of the first session. It is to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing. It is held to pursuant ORS 192.6602I, which allows the Board of Commissioners to meet in executive session for the purposes listed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive sessions. All other members of the audience are precluded from attending. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive sessions, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. Members of the news media are not allowed to tape, video record, or otherwise record an executive session, and verbatim notes are prohibited. And no decision may be made in executive session. We will return to public session today at 1:30 upstairs in the Board of County Commissioners conference room. We are recessed for executive sessions.